Israel's actions have not been legal, nor have they been responsible. But you cannot deny that they have been effective. Just consider the last 2 months. First, Israel killed the Hamas chief in Tehran. Then they killed the Hezbollah chief in Beirut. This is deep inside enemy territory. To attack with such precision is quite impressive. The question is, how did they do it? How did Israel do it? Thanks to a vast network of espionage. We're talking about multiple moving parts here. You've got cyber surveillance, you've got satellite images, you've got moles and double agents, all of them combined to pinpoint these targets. Let's look at each of these parts. The first is cyber espionage. Let me take you back to the year 2006. Israel and Hezbollah fought to a standstill. After 34 days of war, there was no clear victor. Israeli agencies felt humiliated and disappointed, so they quickly got to work. Their military has a special unit called Unit 8200. Its job is to collect enemy information. How? By intercepting cell phone messages or hacking mobile devices. After the 2006 war, this unit went into overdrive. They developed cutting-edge spying devices. Now, Hezbollah did suspect this, which is why they turned to pagers instead of mobile phones. They started using pagers, but Israel was one step ahead of them. They set up a shell company to supply these pagers to Hezbollah. After that, it was a question of sabotaging them, putting bombs in and shipping them. Chances are this was a cross-agency operation. The Mossad, the Israeli Defense Forces, the Unit 8200, all of them coordinated to complete it. And that's a feature of Israeli intelligence. Yes, there are multiple agencies, but the work is seamless. There is great coordination between them. Now, coming back to Lebanon, Israel's new focus gave them results. In 2008, they killed a top Hezbollah leader, Imad Mughniya. In 2020, they traced Iran's Qasem Soleimani to Beirut and then to Baghdad. And in July this year, they killed a Hezbollah commander, Fuad Shukur, all thanks to intelligence, which brings us to the second part of Israel's campaign, penetration, moles and double agents. Israel specializes in this sort of stuff. It's called human intelligence, or HUMINT. Using individuals in the enemy ranks to gather intelligence. That's what it is. Israel's been doing it for a while. In the 1960s, they had a spy in Syria, Eli Cohen. In the 1980s, they had one in Egypt, Ashraf Marwan. He tipped them off about the Yom Kippur War. But how does Israel manage this network? Creating a few moles is hard enough. Israel is said to have dozens, possibly hundreds of moles. Of course, their tactics are mostly classified, but intelligence leaks do give us an idea of how they do it. The honey trap is a usual tactic. Israel uses prostitutes to lure their targets, photographs them, and then uses the pictures as leverage. They also send agents abroad to seduce certain officials, like secretaries at embassies or even flight attendants. The idea is to keep tabs on who's flying in and out. And finally, they use money. Israel pays their moles and double agents quite well. Consider Ashraf Marwan, the spy in Egypt. He got between $50,000 and $100,000 for every tip-off, plus bonuses and gifts. A lot of these officials are sanctioned by the West. They live on meager government salaries, so such payments may sound lucrative. And look at the result. Iran's former president, Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, has made a revelation. He said that Iran has a special unit to tackle Israeli moles. Iran has a special unit to tackle Israeli moles, but guess what? The man heading that unit was himself an Israeli mole. So were 20 others with him. Now, Ahmadinejad may not be a reliable source. He has a history of wild statements, but he's not alone in saying this. A former foreign minister said the same thing in 2021. He said Israel had penetrated the upper echelons of Iran's regime. So to sum it up, Israel has done many things right. First, they have invested in intelligence. Israel allocates more than $2 billion to Mossad. They are well-funded and well-staffed. Secondly, they keep up with the times. They've used letter bombs, armed drones, exploding cell phones, exploding pagers, exploding motorcycles. You name it, they've done it. And third, patience. Intelligence is often a long-term game. Like I said, they began focusing on the Hezbollah way back in 2006. They've been tracking Nasrallah all along. But when did that investment come in handy? Nearly 18 years later. Israel has been willing to get its hands dirty to walk on the moral grey area, but things don't always go to plan. Like what happened on October 7, 2023, last year. Israel was blindsided by the Hamas attack, so intelligence is not always 100% accurate. Even when you get a tip-off, it can be wrong. Which brings us to the fourth thing that Israel does. They take risks. A lot of governments may think twice about such attacks. They may not act on such intel, but Israel does. Their leadership is willing to gamble. When it pays off, Israel looks invincible. And when it doesn't, their Western godfathers mop up after them.
Firstpost decodes the U.S. election. Explains how America chooses its president. Your primer on the race to the White House. Everything you need to know about how America votes and its global implications. U.S. Election Explained. Every Monday and Thursday only on Firstpost.